Friends, now we have a very distinguished guest joining us from Singapore. His name is Kevin Cottam, and he is actually very popular, very eminent. He's a well-known speaker across the world. So let's welcome him. I will just patch him in into the live stream.
Hi.
Hello, Kevin. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. This is well, I've only been on Restream once, so this is a new experience again. So looks okay so far, except for a little bit of having to deal with the settings.
Of
Great to
course,
see you again.
of course, Kevin. How are things today for you? Are you uh, are you doing well? Are you planning for your new year holidays? Are you preparing for Christmas?
Ah, okay. So yeah, I mean, I am preparing. I'm going back to Canada shortly, and that will be December 13th, and I'm very excited about that. Finally, to travel, to get off the island here in Singapore, and also to see family and friends, and to get into the cold, another season. I would like to be in a different season instead of hot, or wet, hot, or whichever. So it'll be I think it'll be cold. I mean, yes, colder than here, that's for sure. Maybe we'll have some snow, which will be great. But otherwise, yeah, no, I'm just really looking forward to get off the island and to also just ground myself in a back home. I find that being back in Canada, maybe other people feel this way, that when they go into their home place, they feel a grounding. It's like the roots are there, and sometimes we get a little, this particular period has been kind of crazy for most people, and it certainly has been up and down for myself, and I want to be very clear about that, because I think that we need to talk about the challenges that we've all had as well. But now we are seeing some opening, which is great, of travel and to being able to do that. And as you know, I'm a nomad, and so it's been the challenge for me as a nomad not to physically travel. But yeah, I'm grateful for that very much so. And are you going to do some traveling around this time, or staying put?
I think I'm going to stay put. I am with the family. All three generations are in one place, so I think we will stay put for some more time till this wretched virus goes away from the space of this earth. Maybe I'm just waiting for good times. But you are now traveling. So what sort of you know questions are running in your mind? Is it safe to travel? I think it must be the biggest concern you must be having. Is it safe? uh, those kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, interestingly enough, I mean, I've traveled so much that it was actually nice not to travel. However, so now it's like, when you have to practice, it's like practice again to travel. And yeah, I'm a little bit nervous of it. I'm nervous of all of the different sort of uh, restrictions, the implications. Do I have all of my cards right? Do I have my papers, my PCR? Do I have my, you know, do I have everything right? Is the timing right? For my flight and for my PCR? What will happen at the other side? What will happen when because I have to transit. So will there be something happening in the transit? What happens if this flight is delayed? And then, of course, it becomes a problem, right? Because you have a certain window for your PCR, and that can be a bit of a challenge. And so, am I a bit anxious, maybe as well? Anxious in the sense that I haven't traveled for a while, and so it feels a bit weird. It feels a bit weird getting on a flight with many people, if there is many people. I don't like being in close contact with so many people. I have stayed away from malls, and which is getting more packed here. But I've stayed away from, having a lot of people around me. So that is going to be an interesting place as well. I think I'm going to have to do a lot of inner focusing, in actual fact, of meditation, breathing, just, really taking one small step at a time. Uh, that is what I'm thinking that I'm going to have to do, instead of rushing through my head. Okay, all these things can happen because it's possible. And I do sense that it's probably extremely safe. It's like, interestingly enough, is that some of the safest times of flying of when there is a calamity, because more enforcement is put in and all sorts of aspects around security are put into place, and it's easier. I remember when I traveled the first time to Singapore, which was in 2001, which was right after 9/11. And of course, there was always, the alerts, do not go to a Muslim country. And I was going to go not only to Singapore, but I was going to go to Bali, and so, which is in Indonesia. And it was a no go. And I thought, oh, I'm going to go anyway. And it was incredible because it was the best time to travel because there weren't any tourists. And that was amazing because I got incredible deals on very expensive places. But I felt sorry for the people, because that is their living. And they kept on saying, "Why are people not coming?" And I said, "Well, because we're getting alerts not to come." And they said, "Well, we're not Muslim, we're Hindu." And I said, "It doesn't matter. You're in Indonesia." And so they couldn't understand these things. And so I think travel is going to be very different in the future.
I think you are absolutely right, Kevin. In fact, there are a lot of anxiety. In fact, you use this word called anxiety. It's very, very relevant word. Uh, and you asked me, "Are you traveling?" I was very anxious to give you in response. I'm not traveling anywhere. I'm staying put. I think there is a lot of anxiety among people when it comes to travel, and consequently, let me finish my question, Kevin. Consequently, the travel industry, leisure, hotel, all these are very badly affected. Airlines, uh, absolutely. So I think when you are traveling, I'm sure you will see the flight empty mostly, but it because of the anxiety among people. What is your opinion on this situation?
I think that there's a huge amount of anxiety out there. I mean, I've had a lot of anxiousness during this period of COVID in many ways and for different reasons. But I think that this is just another one of those anxiousness that you're a bit afraid to go, uh, because we don't know. We've been told, stay away from people, right? And we've been said, okay, if you get too close to people, you might get COVID. Well, I've already had COVID, so hopefully I won't get it again. But you never know what else could you pick up. But we as I start to think about it and start to plan and I start to move into it, is the anxiousness is slowly going away. The reason I say that is that I've figured out step by step the few things that need to be done for me to get out of Singapore to Canada. And so there's not as many things as I've had to read every line at the embassy on travel and just think, yeah, which am I, and is this going to change perhaps on, from now till the travel, all of these things can make you a little bit crazy. And of course, every country has different regulations. And so that is another challenge in the travel industry. And the IATA has said that it's making it very difficult because each country has a different regulation on entry and exit. And so it's number of hours, for example, 72 hours for Canada. But it's not 72 hours for me leaving Singapore to Canada for my PCR. It's 72 hours from me from Narita, because that is my point of getting on Air Canada, but to leave towards the country. So luckily, I hope, I haven't really looked at this, that I don't have to do anything within Narita. And I've heard that this is true. You don't have to. So it'll be fine. But these things get you, we never had to plan for these things before. We just packed our bags, went to the airport, we got in, and then Bob's your uncle. We'll get on the plane and leave, get there. But no, there's all these other pieces. And before COVID, though, there was beginning to be more and more challenges of traveling, as far as I'm concerned. Longer waits, longer issues around security, all sorts of things were driving me crazy. I mean, I went through Beijing, horrible transit, taking forever just to get through a security of where you your luggage. You're just passing through the scanner. It took forever, and I just thought, what is this world? I mean, it's a hurry up and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, and it can be very frustrating, and you need a lot of patience more than ever before. And I think that is an attribute and a behavior that most of us are not used to. Even through COVID, we have learned some patience, but I'm not sure when it comes to this, it gets triggered, right? So we need a lot of patience. And we also need to think, I believe, and this really is about going nomading and really understanding the nomadic mindset, is that we can't narrow ourselves in our mind, which is the instant process of narrowing into all of these little regulations, but that we need to go expand our thinking, expand our feelings, so it expands our heart, it expands our mind, so that we don't get into this craziness of this constricted and into the blocked phase, and we get blocked around it. Um, so I think we just have to breathe a little bit more, focus on that.
So, as per your assessment, how long this thing will continue? Do you do you really feel that hotel industry or industries which are dependent on the travel and tourism will be able to bounce back in near future or in long term? Because when I was traveling during good times, I was traveling almost like 20 days in a month, and that was for many years I was doing that. And people used to say, "Hey, which country you are in today, CK?"
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
era will come back or it will not return. What is your opinion?
Well, because in the speakers industry, we've been pretty much decimated because of there's no places to speak live, and now it's more hybrid. And now the live is starting to come back slowly. Organizations will see that they'll try this, and then eventually, I think that they will come back in that particular aspect of having live. But yes, we were traveling an awful lot, and we just took it for granted, and we just we didn't think about the sustainability of the planet either. And I sense that there's going to be a lot of shifts and changes. I know a lot of people in the speaking industry, for example, and also in organizations, they don't want to travel now. They don't, and I think in the future they won't want to travel so much for business as they will. It may take a few years to come back again, as they have said, that maybe 25, even 26, the year that we will be back to some pre-COVID normal. However, I don't think it's going to be ultimately this way. I sense that it's going to shift and change because of sustainability and because of global warming and whichever, that people will start to become much more conscious of travel and their footprint. And I think this is important. I will probably not travel as much as I used to, simply because it's also looking like it's going to be much more expensive, and maybe that'll take a while for it to come down. I think that we need to be much more socially conscious. I think we need to be much more planet conscious. And I believe these will start to play into some people's roles. I know one friend of mine that would travel just like you, 20 days out of the year or the month and whichever. And he said to me, I don't miss it one bit. And he said, I'm grateful that I'm not traveling, and I probably will not go back to that as much anymore. And I think that there's a lot of people that are probably thinking in this direction. Um, but we need to have very strong reasons. There's going to be an awful lot of impact on the economy of both of the hospitality and still industries, I believe. I mean, but I don't have a magic wand. And at the moment, people are clamoring in Europe. The flights are full because people want to travel. But I really hope we don't go back to that, because the challenges are for climate change, for one thing, and airlines have not got it right yet either, and they probably won't for some years if they do get it completely right. As most organizations haven't got it right and probably won't, even though they say they have a sustainability footprint, they have a program, they are dealing with the social the sustainable goals, but that's debatable, right? And after COP26, I think that we need to think much, much more about whether we travel a lot, how do we travel. I would love to travel by land. I'd love to travel by, I love traveling by train, you know? So if that can be my way forward, it takes longer, but it's so much more interesting in actual fact.
Yes, Kevin. In fact, train journeys are always very good, very entertaining, and very long. They take forever. Not like a flight. Finish in 24. Just go there. 24 hours. You are in the other side of the earth. So train journeys are well planned. You have to know the routes. You have to know where what is available, etc. So it's quite interesting. It's a complete travel experience. Um, but I think you mentioned the important subject about COP26. Yes, Kevin, I think you were trying. Please.
No, 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 that's fine. I'm good. Keep going.
All right. So COP26, I think the whole idea is to reduce the carbon emission. And one of the biggest carbon, I mean, the environment spoilers are the aircraft, high flying aircraft, and their emission basically spoils the upper atmosphere. And considering the net zero target being taken now, do you think by the time the industry opens, there will be issues? There will be new technology. There will be new type of aircraft. There will be electric aircraft, maybe, and that is why we are passing through an era where the industry will have to, take a totally 180 degrees turn. Do you see that kind of situation emerging?
Absolutely, I'm totally with you on that, Chandra. I believe that they will start to take it. If they don't, they will lose out. You know, because if one company does it and they have this and they show it, then the others have to. Otherwise, people will not uh, fly with them. And I think, you know, in the overall, it would be better for them because it then becomes an advantage, not only for sustainability, but it also creates more opportunities globally and for innovation. And also it shares the economy in a different way. And so these are all the pieces that can come out of this now is to really with so much digitization and so much transformation that is going on is that it can shift if we see it as a great opportunity for really building new systems and thinking new systems in a different way. I mean, this is what we need to do. But you see the people on the ground, they're not really shifting their lifestyles, and they may not shift their lifestyles. And there's other reports out, you know, that people who are saying, no, we don't think that we need to shift our lifestyles. We're already doing enough. In certain countries, yes, they are doing an awful lot of people um, for social sustainability. You get people that there was a new article out here in Singapore that many of the millennials and Gen Zs, although only 22%, feel that it's very interesting to, or only 22% think that sustainability and the climate crisis is important, which is very low. You know, what do you do with that, right? It's the awareness. And so most people are thinking about their pocket. And because of rising prices, how can we think of sustainability when we can't afford things and we don't want children or we don't have as many children because we can't afford them because of everything. So it's a very interesting period that we're in, but it means that we have to shift. We have to move in our mindsets and also our living. And, you know, and it starts with a mindset of where how you see the world, how you see yourself participating in this world. And it's not just about, well, my imprint is not going to make any difference. No, it takes everyone to make an imprint, to make a difference. And it also shifts the way you look at the world. You know, and I really believe that. And for that, we need to go nomading in our mind. We need to go nomading in our heart and our intuition to see what really works for us, each individual, but not just us as an individual, but the community.
So now you are set to travel, Kevin, and you must be packing your bags. You must be preparing your travel documents. Maybe you have been asked by some countries. about the COVID visa. Who knows? Have
Yeah. I mean,
you been asked about COVID visa?
I have been to, I have my, I have my PCR scheduled, and I've also found out that they will give me a hard copy and they will give me another copy, but I need to go in hand with hard copy so that when I arrive in Canada, I can't just pull up the phone because it may not have Wi-Fi and all sorts of things. So, you need to have hard copies. I'm even going to have them laminated so that they are not, that I have them perfect, and so that they can't be mushed up and messed up and whichever. So I'm going to get these as passports, so to speak. And I actually have already done one. And so it's really about the timing and it's about getting all those together. Have I packed? No, I do this thing about packing, and I visualize it first, what I'm going to take, how it's going to lay into the luggage, and then all of a sudden I just go. When I have the moment, it just visualize it and it's done, and then I just pack, and it happens very fast then. So, but this is a different packing up because I don't know if I'm coming back to Singapore. So I'm having to get rid of a lot of things and tie ends up and stuff like that. So am I really doing anything about that? I'm really procrastinating. That's all I can say. A huge procrastination on some of those issues. And then I always say, well, if it doesn't get done, it doesn't get done. And I'll just sort of, what doesn't, and I've also decided that what fits into my suitcases is all I take. Everything else goes. That's it. I'm
Well, I think
not paying.
you are
Sorry.
actually telling a lot of people like me, senior executives across the world about nomading, and you're running an organization called Go Nomading. And I think, how do you see this initiative of yours getting hit during last 12 to 18 months?
I'm sorry. Say that again. I didn't understand the last part.
I'm saying that since your initiative is about Go Nomading, you're asking people to reinvent themselves when they are outside with the nature. Did you see the business model getting affected by isolation of last 18 or maybe 12 months?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think my business has been really affected considerably. And that's been a bit of a trauma, I have to say, like many people. It certainly has been, for those that have been seriously affected. And it's been through a wave, right? Things started to really ramp up again, and now it's dropped down again. And I'm just really hoping that 2022 will be a very different year in a much more prosperous way as well. But I'm also having this time right now to shift a little bit of what is I'm offering at the same time as uh, consolidating my messaging because I'm really bringing in more about the SDGs, and that's really important to me. And it's important for me to have it on my website, but at the same time, it's also important for me to live that and talk about it. So that is part of my research now is to how do I want to be with that? What do I need to use? How can I use it? What is the best use of technology and all sorts of things? And how do I travel? And so all the different aspects. And I think that's something that has shifted. And I'm very grateful for that. And it started by being speaking at a summit in India, actually, with the SDGs, and I never thought about it before, and I absolutely adored the impact that it had on me personally from a purpose point of view, and it really gave me a different focus of why I would be there and what do I do with my work, the way I speak, and now it's always integrating that into my talks and and everything. So yeah, it's great.
So I think our display was based on the travel itself, which is greatly hampered, and I think This was something that you preparing, like many of us are preparing. Let the world open up again so that we can travel. I think that is all. We are all going to take a step outside our house. We are stuck in this digital world or a
Yeah.
hypersphere or hyperspace, we call it. But I think you're going to restart your rest of the journey on this planet Earth from Canada. So we will catch you in Canada with the same subject. But I think we will catch you with some more pressing subject next week. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us today and telling so many important things. And there are many viewers actually today who joined us. No questions, but I think they were listening very intently what you were telling them. So we will catch up next week, Kevin. Thank you so much for talking.
Okay, thank you so much. Namaste.